Sometimes when I start your podcast in the car, I have the volume all the way up. Fucking
bing, bing, bing. I know. I've done that a few times. Like, I listen to some of the podcasts that we do, right? And it's the same thing every time. I usually listen to it at like 4 a.m. when I'm first getting up, and every time, like, I never check the volume as I have my headphones in, and
like an alarm clock.
Hit the bing. I'm like, I'm awake.
I'm awake. I wasn't awake before, but now I am.
Yep.
Go ahead, hosts.
We rocking?
Yeah, we're rocking.
All right. What's up, guys? Coach Darrell with Cast Iron Workouts back again. Today, I have Mike with me. He's sitting behind a table over there.
Mm-hmm.
Nice seated position. Are you comfortable?
I'm all right.
Yeah. Do you want a hot dog?
Yeah.
Now
we're talking.
Honestly, I mean, yeah.
Hot dog and a beer sounds good. Baseball weather.
Mike's posted, like, spread out, like he's on the couch watching TV, just hanging out. So we got Mikey, and we got a guest today. Reese, say hello.
Hello, people.
We're going to talk about Reese here and who he is and why he's here and why we're talking to this tall son-of-a-bitch in just a second. As we're setting up today, Mike, usually, like, we've had guests on before, and, I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but we've never had one as tall as Reese.
Yeah.
We had to back the camera up, make sure we could get his whole head in the picture here.
Make sure Darrell's still in the frame.
Yeah.
I got the top of Darrell's head and my torso. That's about it.
Yeah, so we're good. Anyways, Reese, we're going to talk a little bit about you. So I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself and tell the people who you are. So who the hell are you?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, my name's Reece Backman. I've been training here with you since 2013.
You were 15 or 16?
Yeah, I think it was my junior year at high school, but I remember Jake was passing out flyers at Granada and said, "Hey, my uncle's looking for people to come to the gym," and at that time you were looking to train more athletes, so
yep.
I think me and a couple buddies ended up going over there to start training.
That was when I was in Fremont.
No,
no, you came.
I think I went to a class or two while you were in Fremont.
Right, you came, and that was right at that transition time when I moved the gym to Livermore, and we were in the court.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, you were over there off of. Yeah.
Yep.
You've been in this area for a while.
Yeah.
Started training there, and then from there, I graduated high school, went to Laney College, and wanted to kickstart my football career. I was there for 2 years. For those of you who don't know, in college they have these shirt systems. So in junior college, you're allowed they call it a gray shirt, and
basically you're not burning eligibility.
Yeah, you take under 12 units, so you're not a full-time student, and then you don't participate in any games. You just practice with the team. So I just got to practice. Then after that, played a year, ended up getting a scholarship to University of Nevada at Reno. Spent a year there, getting my undergrad. Played a year, got cut, then took the other year just to finish off my undergrad. Graduated in 2018. Then from there, I got recruited to play at Abilene Christian over in Texas. And then that's where I got my master's in athletic training. Spent 2 years there afterwards, came home, and that was right when the pandemic hit, so that was a journey itself.
Welcome home.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay in your fucking house.
So I ended up taking
So it's your fault.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
So
we found the cause. COVID. It's Reese.
Chasing.
way to fuck up everybody's lives, Reese. All right, cool, man. So now, over the last year and a half, COVID, you come home. Mm-hmm. What have you been doing?
So when I first got home, I was studying for my BOC. It's our certification test for becoming an athletic trainer. I'd say I got home early April, and I was slotted to take my test mid-June. And so I had a couple months to get ready and study for that. And then afterwards, they make you wait. Oh, my God. They and make you wait like 3 or 4 weeks to find out your test results.
That sucks.
So for 4 weeks, you're pretty much sitting there like, okay, do I need to study more?
Here's my beef with that, right? Like, and this is with a lot of things. How fucking hard is it to grade a test these days?
Well, it's all machine operated. That's the thing.
How hard is that to give me my damn results? It should be boom, put it in, done, right?
They're backed up like PSA.
Yeah,
COVID.
Don't even get me started, dude. Don't even get me started. Anyways, so you have to wait. You're sweating it.
Yeah, and it's just irritating. Like me and the people in my cohort, we all took our test because we all took it around the same time, and then we're sitting there, pretty much biting our nails, sitting on our thumbs, like, what the hell's going to happen next? Are we going to have to take it again? And from there, you have to go through the whole process of registering and, getting a slot. But ended up finding out the first week of July, I passed. And I was surprised because with my undergrad background, I took no anatomy, no biology, no kines, no exercise science. And then I kind of used football to get into my master's degree.
Yeah.
That's the nice part about being an athlete.
Yeah, you wiggle in however. Yeah. It's easy.
It was their first year starting out their cohort. So it was the first time, it was like the first up-and-coming program started and all that. And so I was able to kind of squeeze my way in. But then, I passed, ended up being certified, and then it wasn't until around November that I ended up finding a job out in Modesto. It was hard, though, because that was one arena that got hit pretty hard by the pandemic because there's really no athletes around. And that was what cut my spring immersion short. So the last part of my program, we did a 7-week immersion, so it's like an internship.
Right.
And we had our break in the immersion over spring break, and that's when everything shut down for COVID. So I came back to no athletes. So me and the person I was interning with, we were sitting there in the office kind of like, what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah, like, what do we do?
Yeah. So, I talked to him. I talked to my program director. I'm like, hey, look, I'm 3 states away. There's no athletes here. I'm literally doing nothing. So she's like, all right, finish your standards, and then you can go home. So I got them done by mid-April. I was supposed to graduate early May, so I got to go home pretty much a month early.
Yeah.
That was fun, yeah.
So fast forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You got a job.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know like you're in the middle of a pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And jobs are pretty scarce. It's more people are getting laid off than anything, or they just don't have the opportunity because there aren't a whole lot of doors open. Where did you end up getting hired? What are you doing? Because you have that job currently.
Yeah. So I got hired with a company called ATI Physical Therapy, but we're kind of a branch off from the general company. We're called AWS Worksite Solutions. So it's more of an industrial approach to athletic training. I'm not working with athletes. I'm working with blue-collar people. They're in a warehouse all day. I work at one of the Blue Diamond growers' plants in Modesto. So the big almond company, Blue Diamond Almonds that you see in the stores, I work at one of their sites. And apparently they're the worldwide distributor of almonds. So they're huge.
They're huge, yeah.
Yeah. The site's ginormous. I think we have anywhere between 400 to 500 employees. Not there at the same time. It's 24/7, so they cycle through. They got day, swing, and graveyard shifts. I work the swing, so I work 4 to 12:30.
What's a day like for you now?
I get in the office. I get in a little bit early just because I'm hourly, so with salary, and that's why I didn't want an athletic training job in college because they're salary. So pretty much like, hey, you're going to work
18 hours a day.
Yeah. I didn't want that. So
it's any type of coach, right? Like any type of coach, you get to a high enough level like that, you're salaried, and it's kind of the norm, right? And whether it's right or wrong or whatever, I see it. I've got a lot of friends who coach at the college level football, right? And those guys sleep in their office all the time, and I know athletic trainers will do that too. Like they're sleeping on campus or whatever. And it's like, they work and they're programming, they're doing program design, and they're handling hundreds of student athletes and all these different things. And it's like, it's a lot, man.
It's just not the life I wanted to start off with. I wanted to work 40 hours and have the time to kind of explore different routes because I knew I was young. So
you're hourly. What are you doing during the day?
So I'll get in the office, usually run through emails like anyone, but then I like to hit the floor. A lot of job coaching, ergonomic training, just finding kinks in people's movement, like you do here with training. But
Right.
for me, it's more based off of what people are doing for their job. So kinda
Teaching people how to lift properly,
Yeah.
move properly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that don't know how to do those things, and it's they never learned or they were never taught.
How receptive are people to you?
It took a while. That was the big thing. It's hard to build rapport, especially there's a language gap because a lot of people that work there are either Hispanic or a lot of Indian people. And
Okay.
so, and then the girl that worked my shift before me, she was a woman. So they come in and see big tall Reese, and they're like, "Who the hell's this guy?" I don't really want to talk to him.
They're like, who hired the fucking giant?
Yeah.
Who hired the fucking giant?
I had to take my time to take a step back and not come off so. It's hard to come off not aggressively or non-assertively, especially when you're trying to coach someone.
Yeah.
And that was the hard part, is going up to people like, "Hey, I noticed you're moving this way," and it took a while to build that rapport.
Right.
And so I gave it about, I'd say after 3 months, people started to warm up to me. And it took a lot of people coming into my office and asking for things, and then me having a conversation with them and realizing that I'm not all that bad, because first image, people are like, who the fuck? But then
Right.
after they take the time to get to know me, they're like, okay,
He's all right.
Yeah.
He's all right.
Yeah.
And that is, man, that's hard to do. I mean, that's hard to do even like in a gym setting, right? Like here, I get people that come into the gym, they're paying me to be here.
Mhm.
And it's hard to build a rapport with people, and get them to accept what you're telling them and to move the way you want them to move and do what you're trying to get them to do. It's hard, man. It's
Yeah.
hard. So I can only imagine going into it cold in a facility where they're like, I don't want to fucking listen to this guy.
Mhm.
Like, what are you going to tell? I'm just here to do my job, get paid, and go home.
Yeah.
Right? So I know that's probably got to be tough. Now, when you were going through your athletic training masters and certification process, probably never envisioned life looking like this, though, right? Like as far as the job goes.
Yeah. I'd say being in college athletics and then with my master's being also a player and a trainer, I got tired of the realm. That's why I wanted to move more industrially, because I knew what the hours were going to be like. It's pretty miserable, especially if you're working a sport like football.
Yep.
Or even basketball, a lot of traveling sports with a lot of games. It's a pain in the ass. But I just got tired of the realm. I wanted to challenge myself, look for something different, because I knew how to build rapport with athletes. That was easy for me, because luckily I was one. So with a lot of the people there, they knew of me because I played football, but also they would, I'd be working with sports on campus. So I got to work with women and men's basketball. I worked with tennis for a little bit. Did track and field for a semester. So, they also saw me as a trainer and someone that was there to help them. But
when you're going through that, right? So, and that's, you've got people that are in a completely different mindset, right? And a physical capacity, right? And that's kind of what I say is like, when you're coming out of doing this and, you're working with all these athletes and now you're working with the general public,
Mhm.
how much different is it watching people move?
It's very different,
Yeah.
because as an athlete, if you were never accustomed to lifting weights, being active, then you were forced into it, because any athlete's going to need to have a workout routine, and they're going to have, basic movements that they're going to need to perform for their sport. And then, going into the general public blue collar scene, it's interesting because probably most of these people have never had an athletic background or even a exercise background. They grew up, they went to work at a young age and just kept
And they're
working.
still grinding.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's interesting to see. It's
Right.
very different.
Right.
Because we grew up in a world that was so different from theirs. We grew up playing sports, working out, going over stuff like that, and they were working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I mean, in a weird way, it's fun. Working with people that's it, in a different realm, like you were saying, right? I know for me, for a long time, like I said, like when you first started training with me, you were a young athlete, right? And for those of you who don't know, I trained a lot of athletes over the years. I mean, even when Reese first started training with me, I was still probably training 15, 20 football players, right? And my business kind of evolved over the years just based on different things. But, you know, that was always a trip to me, you know, because you guys were usually my early crew that I'd have in. These guys would come in after school and we do, you know, it was athletic movement, right? And we're trying to get bigger, faster, stronger. And there's days that we're doing footwork and there's all these different things. And I'm taking young bodies, young men for the most part, and having them go through stuff, and you're watching them, you know, they're moving and they're, you know, explosive and whatever. And then to transition into my next class, I'm doing a group fitness class with people that are, you know, in their 20s up to their 60s and 70s. And you go, holy shit, this is different, right? But it's cool and it's fun in a different way, right? Of like, the game changes, right? The goals change, but people still have goals to get better and to move better, just in a different way with a different end goal in sight.
Yeah, that's the fun part about this industry, and that's what drew me towards it. Is every person you encounter, every new athlete, every new individual, they're all going to have a different goal, and they're all going to, like you say, every day they're going to move differently, they're going to look differently, they're going to have different kinks, different quirks, and that's the fun part. Being able to adapt and work to cater to what they need.
Right, and that's like Reese just said. I say that. For those guys who don't know, at the gym here, I talked about before with Rachel leaving. Reese is an athletic trainer. We're trying to get Reese in the door here to take on some classes and start coaching for me. And we talk about that a lot, of just how people move a little bit differently and so on. And today is a good example of it, right? You came in today. We had a pretty busy class. How many people were in your class today, Mike? Like 12? There's like 12 people in here, plus me, plus Reese, and we're squatting. All right, we're back squatting. We're doing some split squats. We're doing some RDLs. Just a good solid leg day. And I tell Reese all the time, like, so the movement part of it, like, he's seen movement from the athletic side, especially, and with the people that he's helping with his current job. But now, seeing the strength training side, you walked in today and you watched 12 different people squat, and it's like, wow,
yeah, right?
Completely different than walking in a college weight room and having 12 football players squat,
yeah,
right? The purpose is a little bit different now.
Yeah,
right.
Just different body types. I got long legs. Some people got short legs, so their squat's going to look different.
Why you got to look at me when you say that, bro? Reese, I'm going to kick you in the shin to bring you down to my side.
I think I know why.
Mike, shut up.
We had to back the table up for Reese.
I'm going to kick him in the shin and throw my bottle at you. Shut up, Mike.
No, but some people got a wide stance, some people got a narrow stance, and it's interesting to see, because everyone's going to move differently. It's not that it's wrong; it's what caters to their body.
Right. And you see too, and you and I were talking about this the other day, is you watch people move, especially in here. And, like I said, we have varying age ranges, and you have varying abilities, and you have varying, I didn't want to say injuries, but boo-boos from people, just life over the years, right? And it's like, and that's the part where, Reese and I will have conversations. I know Rachel and I have done this all the time. And like, Rachel will be like, why is this person squat more narrow? Why is this person squat wider? Why is the bar positioned here? Why is their grip here? And a lot of times it has to do with stuff like that, right? It's like, well, Reese has got a boo-boo, and, we had to move his stance or hands or whatever. And that's the part where it's like, all right, time to think, right? And use that athletic training, degree that you have and figure stuff out, man.
That degree was so interesting because learning from the bottom up, you really, you get to see how body positioning tells the story. It's like I can sit here and look at how someone stands, how they hold themselves up, and it's just maybe how they're standing, they got low back pain, and that's
right.
And that's where the rapport building and the questioning comes in. Like that was a big thing they harped on in my program was, yes, you're going to be able to diagnose, you're going to be able to find little discrepancies, but the main thing comes from rapport building. So let's say you notice something that's a little off, and then you just got to start asking questions, getting to the root of it. Do you have low back pain? Do you have knee pain? Do you have pain in your ankle? It's just little things.
Right. And that's where a lot of people, like as coaches and trainers, because I've played this game with you over the years, right? Like where you've come in and you're working out and you go, are you tight? something off. Oh yeah, my back's tight. All right, what have you been doing? You've been squatting, you've been deadlifting, yeah. All right, when you're doing that, what are you feeling? And a lot of times, it's like that back pain, but you're going to diagnose and kind of work through the body and figure it's coming from somewhere else and whatever. And it is. It's like you don't want people to be hurt by any means, right? But like as a coach, that's the part where it's like, I can help this. I can fix this. I can make this better, and it's cool. It's fun. So for you personally, right? Tell the people, okay, you're a college football player. Reese plays football through college. You have this goal of being bigger, faster, stronger for as long as I had known you, right? For probably 7 years, right? That's the goal. Be big, be strong, be fast. There was some question as to what position. You end up falling into being an offensive lineman. How tall are you?
About 6'3".
Okay.
On a good day.
Okay. And how much did you weigh at your heaviest at Abilene?
About 290.
Okay, so 290 pounds.
Wasn't a good 290.
I was going to say, was that comfortable to carry around?
No.
So after you stop playing, you come home, tell the people now what you're doing, what the goal is, how things have changed.
I've cut back my caloric intake a lot. That was the big thing. So throughout college, my nutrition sucked. I'm going to be honest, because ever since I got to Laney, it was, you need to put more weight on, you need to put more weight on, you need to put more weight on. And I kick myself every day for not questioning you more. And people listening, please talk to Darrell about nutrition, because he knows his stuff. But that was the big thing, is just, I didn't do what was necessary to put on the weight that would have been right for me.
Right.
I put on a fat weight.
Right. And I remember, you and I had a few discussions, like when you were at Laney, and then even once you were at Nevada, we had a couple talks. And it was that I can remember distinctly having these conversations with you and Nick, because Nick was kind of going through the same thing when he went to Texas State. And having the talks of like, okay, look, I understand we're trying to put on size, but there's a way we should be doing this. And you could tell it was like, fuck that. I'm just going to go fucking hammer down pizzas and beers and, whatever. And it's like, all right. Yeah, Mike's like, yeah, I can get on board with this. Mike, how old are you?
36.
Mike Trey started his college football career as an offensive lineman. Mike's like, oh shit, where do we do this? Sign me the fuck up. Let's go.
Let you eat.
Let's go, bud. Fucking sign me up. Mike's like, I'd be center, dude. I got this. Yeah, so you were hammering a ton of food. You came home, changed the calorie intake a little bit, right? You started, I know, and you can elaborate on this if you want to, I know you started changing the foods, right? Not just dropping calories.
So we talk about, I know I've talked to you, like carbs, fats, protein.
Your macros, yeah.
It's interesting because everyone's going to be different too. Like for me, I got home and I kept carbs in my diet.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I was constantly having rice, oats. It's not that they're bad. It's just, like you say, you need to know
how much, right?
How much and when you need them.
Yep.
Like I know you talk about using carbs as a supplement. I do like that idea, because, you're going to get a lot of your glycogen and everything from that, and a lot of your energy.
Yeah, to me, and you've heard me say it before, to me, like unless you're a high-level athlete, I don't need you to go crazy with carbohydrates. Use them where they're necessary, and I'm not saying people shouldn't eat them, right? But unless you're an athlete, I don't need you to hammer rice at every meal. Yeah. I don't need you to eat a potato at every meal. I don't need you, loading up on that stuff. So go ahead.
And that's where it changed. After talking to you, I'm like, I had to kind of take a step back and be like, I'm not an athlete. I don't need to train like I'm trying to play football anymore, and I don't need to eat like I'm trying to play football anymore. I don't need to eat like I'm burning 5,000 calories a day anymore.
Right.
So I'd say, I cut out breakfast. I'll probably have a cup of coffee in the morning. I won't eat, and it's not bad. Like I'd say in the beginning, it took a while to get adjusted, and my energy levels would dip. But now I can go without breakfast and be fine. Like I come in here, work out, I feel great. I don't have a problem with that anymore. Lunch, I love to hammer protein. That's a big thing. And after talking to you, I cut out the carbs. I'll more have a vegetable, something not crazy in carb intake. I used to have rice with it, but It depends on what we're doing that day too. So like, if we have a big heavy lift day or we run a lot, I might throw some
carbs in, right?
Potato,
Little recovery. It's a supplement.
But then dinner's the same way, just protein. And then I've been trying to get more healthy fats in. So, I'm eating more nuts, but not, crazy amount. I remember one day you were talking, some people be like, yeah, like 6 cups of nuts.
Yeah. and that's one, man, like I get people that do that all the time. They're like, man, I eat really healthy. And, they're talking about, cutting their carbs down and they're, eating their protein. And then they start talking about the foods that contain a lot of fat. Well, if you eat something that contains fat, it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's going to be calorie dense, and those calories are going to add up. And like I said, calories aren't the end all be all, but it makes a humongous difference. Yeah. And if I am like overloading on things like nuts or, fattier cuts of meat, or you're like, oh yeah, I can have cheese because I'm eating low carb, but you had like half a block of Tillamook, like we got a problem. Like it's just moderation, right? And being smart in that sense. All right, so you switch your diet up. Training. What's training look like now?
Well, with you, I love it. It's functional movement. It's the strength portion isn't hammered like it was when I was an athlete. With it being an athlete, it's constantly like we're working strength, power, and endurance too. But now it's just, hey, we're gonna train holistically.
Right.
We're going to train for everyday life, because everyday life isn't playing football, playing baseball, playing different sports,
Right.
Everyday life's just, hey, I need to be able to get around without being in pain, be able to get up out of my chair or, just walk up and down stairs, play with my kids, whatever that is for people, that's what I see holistic training being, is just preparing your body to go through everyday life without issues.
And right now we have you're coming in, you're doing our workouts, right? And you're training about 4 or 5 days a week usually. Yeah. That's usually what it falls to for you, right? Now, what's your body weight sitting at now?
About 240.
About 240. So we're down about 50 pounds.
Fluctuating a lot, but yeah, I feel
great. Say, how do you feel?
I feel a lot better. I'd like to get down to 230. I don't, a lot of people get done with ball and they drop down to like 190, 200. I don't want to lose that much weight. I like being a little bigger, but I definitely want to get rid of the pouch.
Right.
But yeah,
but you want to be able to maintain some form of strength too, and be able to, load up a bar with a moderate amount of weight and move it around a little bit and feel good. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
And that was the crazy part about losing the weight. You realize how much stronger people can be when they're just heavier.
Mass moves. Yeah. Mass.
And that's the crazy part.
It's funny, man. And I'll let you get into it in a second too. But I talk about this all the time, and I'm gonna bust balls for a second. But we get people that will come into the gym, and I notice they've gained weight, and they're talking. And they're like, oh, man, I feel so strong. I'm like, well, you're fucking fat. Like, being real, like you gain 20 pounds, mass moves mass, right? It's just the way it is. That's why when you see like guys that cut weight for certain events, right, or certain things, you're going to give up some strength with that. If you're going to go down a weight class, you're probably going to lose the amount of weight you're putting on a bar, right?
Do you drink all your sparkling water?
Reese is going to come take your sparkling water. So
you can't have my sparkling water.
So as I was saying, mass moves mass, right? It's and it's one of those things like people are like, oh man, I just got really strong. Well, you may be getting a little bit stronger, right? And that's adaptation to the lift and, progressive overload and getting strong, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of it too is like, yeah, you're probably in a calorie surplus and you gain weight and, you have more calories, you have more energy, you got more weight on you, you're going to move more weight, right?
Yeah.
And that's it's one of those things like know why. And know why too, like for you in the situation that you're in right now, and you're in a really good headspace with training, watching you train, talking to you about your lifts, you're in that headspace of, your calories are down. Your body weight's coming down. Your body fat percentage is dropping. You know that you're moving better, but you also realize that, hey, my squat max isn't going to be what it was when I was 290.
Yeah.
I don't need to deadlift what I did when I was 290, right? So
That's the thing is just, I feel like so many people are like, I need to be strong, be strong. I'm like, you have to understand where your body is and what your body like demands of you.
for sure.
Like, for example, there's some people that are going to train strength lifting all the time, and maybe they are like the power lifters, you know, they're strong as shit, and they're, you know,
but there's no
220.
GPP, right?
Oh,
yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm like, being an everyday adult or a human being, your expectation shouldn't be like, I need to go throw 550 on the bar and squat it for 5.
Why not? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Say I
I'm kidding.
won't.
That's the
Is
conversation.
this a test, Reese?
Yeah.
Come on, Mike, load the bar for me.
But that's the conversation I try and have with people that, you know, get frustrated. I'm like, your goal. I mean, yes, if you want to get stronger by any means. But if you're just looking to be more in shape, it doesn't require you to go throw heavy amounts of weight on a bar and just.
Nah, man, and I think that's where people get confused a lot of times, right? And I talk about this. I've talked about this a lot. RPE, right? Mike's heard me say it. Rate of perceived exertion, right? It's on a scale of 1 to 10. How hard am I working? Right? Everybody has that thought in their heads, like, especially guys. Like, they come in and they're gonna lift weights. It's like, oh my god, I gotta fucking max out. I've got to be at a 10 out of 10. You know, and it's like, you know, I talked about today to the class that you were just in. I talked about it at the beginning of like, all right, today on squats, we're hitting a 3x10 on squats. You should never fail a rep, right? Not in training. Like, if I'm training to be even as a power lifter, you shouldn't fail a rep in training, right? You just shouldn't, right? Like that, your RPE doesn't need to be cranked to that 10 all the time. If you hang out between a 6 and an 8, you're going to keep progressing for a long time. And even those 8s don't have to be there all the time.
It's funny. I was kind of talking to Reese about that during the workout. Remember, I was like, I didn't know where that threshold was. So I'm kind of feeling like my strength threshold, I don't know where it is. So then I like the past maybe week and a half, I felt like it was a little on the light side. Like I was kind of backing off a little too much or something. Because I'm not, like you said, you know, at a 10 where I'm like,
right.
But I guess that's okay.
Yeah, it's 100%
Well,
okay.
to the
And that's just it. And like, I'm a person like, you know, I've been training for, and this is weird to say, I've been literally training for 30 years, 31 years now. Like, that's a long time, right? And I am that person. I love to feel just exhausted when I'm done. But I accomplish that through adding volume, adding different movements. Like, I've learned, and it took me 30 years of doing it, of like, I don't have to have that heavy squat day and have that feeling come from like more being beat up than worked. Make sense?
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing for people to figure out, right? So back to Reese, right? Like, you know, you're coming around to that in training, right? And how's your body feel?
Good. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's days where you definitely push the limit with this.
Right. And for sure. Go ahead.
But, yeah, it's all about listening to your body, you know, because there are going to be days when you get into the gym and, you know, you feel like shit. You really do. For whatever reason, you're run down. Maybe your diet's a little bit off. Maybe you slept wrong. You know, there's going to be days. It's all about just listening to your body. Like, for example, with Mike, it's like, you're kind of tinkering with that threshold, trying to find that. It's like, it's hard too, because every day is going to be different. Every day is going to present itself differently. Maybe you'll feel great one day, and maybe one day you wake up and you're like, my hips are so tight, like I can't get in a squat. And
that goes so many different directions too, right? Like, there's days, and it's funny, there's days like today, for me personally, right? I'll use myself as an example. Last night, Dalton plays playoff game. In the tournament that they're in, of course they go extra innings. Why not? You know, and of course I go to sleep at 8, and of course the game ends at 8:10, and we are half an hour away. So I get home at 9, eat dinner way later than normal, all this stuff, right? What I'm getting at is last night I probably got about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, right? And for me, like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, typically I'm a bag of crap. Rachel and I come in this morning. All right, what are we doing? We had a leg day ourselves today. And like first couple sets, I'm moving through. I'm like, oh, Jesus, this just feels terrible. And, you know, you would think, okay, it's going to be a shitty day. But once I started moving, I actually felt really good. You know, so that kind of goes both ways. A lot of times, you know, once you start moving your body a little, like it's going to respond better than you think. And there are other days, like Reese is saying, like all right, you're banged up, you're beat up, still move around, right? And just know, like for me as a coach, like I'm always checking in with you guys, like, and it's minimal. And people just think I'm shooting the shit a lot of times, but I'm reading you. You know, I'm reading what you're telling me. And if you're telling me that you're tight, you're sore, whatever, those are usually the days I walk by you and go, hey, keep those off. You know, don't put that weight on. Just move. Just do this. And, you know, try and help you figure out where you're going to be on that intensity scale.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the conversation I have with people at work. They come in, they're like, I feel like crap. You know, my body hurts, my neck, my shoulders, my hips. I'm like, you need to be moving more outside of work.
Right.
Because there are some jobs at that site. They are walking around a lot. They're doing a lot of lifting. They're doing a lot of physical manual labor.
Manual labor, yeah.
That's great. But I'm like, outside of this, you still need to be doing something. Because, like you were saying, even though your body feels like crap, you need to move because you're going to feel better. And that's completely true, because there's days I've come in, I'll be like, I'm so tired, you know, yada, yada, I don't feel good. But then once you start getting moving, your body kicks in. It wakes up a little bit.
Right.
It's like, all right, hey, you're doing it. So it gets you, your body adapts. That's why I love the human body. It's so adaptive to what you want to do and what you train it to do. So, you know, if you get it into the gym, and that's why stepping through the door is the hardest part, because until that point, you know, you don't want to go. And that's why I tell people at work, I'm like, you're going to feel like crap till you start doing it. Then you'll be like, I feel amazing.
Right. And, you know, that's 100% true. And I know like for myself personally, you know, those of you guys that know me know I do push-ups every single day, right? On top of what I'm doing. And it depends on the day how many I'm going to do, but I do push-ups every day, right? It just makes me feel good, and I know that. But there are days I do not want to freaking do push-ups. Like, and the hardest thing to do is doing the first 10 or 20. But once I do those first 10 or 20, it's like, all right, we can get through at least 100 push-ups today. You know, and even if I shut it down there, like I did it, you moved, right? And you hit something on the head there just a second ago, bud. And, you know, I say it all the time. It's like the key to health and longevity and feeling good, I mean, really in my book it's about blood flow and range of motion. So the more you can move, the better, you know, and it doesn't have to be, and I've said this a bunch, like you don't have to fucking kill yourself. You know, like you don't have to go balls to the wall. Even if you don't work out here or do cast iron workouts or whatever, like you don't have to kill yourself. Go for a fucking walk. Like even if it's minimal, maybe you sit down and stand up in your chair 10 times and you do some freaking arm circles. Blood flow, range of motion. I know you're laughing, but it's true, right? Like people underestimate what a little bit of movement can do for your body. You know, on a consistent basis and throughout the day.
They just think it needs to, like, there's a lot of people that think it needs to be so complex and complicated. And I sit people down in my office, I'm like, look, if you were to go on, one 10-minute walk a day when you got home, take your kids with you. I know that you probably got family to look after, so take them with you.
Yeah.
That's better than not doing anything.
Yeah. Dude, and that's a perfect one, right? And, like, you guys know I preach 3 10-minute walks a day after a meal. Right? Like you're going to eat 3 times during the day. Go for a 10-minute walk after. Even if you're at work, 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. Right? And for me, I know, like Dalton knows, oh, daddy's eating, we're going to walk after. Right? And he's usually eating, like if I'm home, he's home. He's usually eating around the same time. And he looks forward to that. We're going to hook both dogs up. We're going to take them 10 minutes. We have a little loop that we do in our neighborhood that's 10 minutes. And it's just time when we can walk. And most of the time it's like, we're walking, you know, you'll see stuff, you're talking. It's 10 minutes where I can talk to my kid, you know? So if you have kids, like, it's good for them to walk too, right? Like, take them with you. Like, and a lot of times you're going to find out stuff on those walks that you didn't know because your kid's like, oh, the other day at school, so-and-so, or oh man, I forgot to tell you at practice, or, just these different things, like, just walk, man. It can open up so many different things for you. It really is.
That's why I love exercise. There's so much you can do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard to get people to understand that. I'm like, you need to be moving outside of what you're doing.
Right.
Or like, especially with the people that work sedentary jobs, they're in a chair all day or in a cubicle. I'm like, if you do that all day and then you don't do anything outside, your body's just withering away.
Right.
Because that's when the fat slowly starts to develop around the bone and push out the muscle. And I'm like, you wonder why you feel bad? It's because your muscle's just deteriorating.
Right. And, not that, I know it can be avoided for a lot of people, right? People who work a desk job, let's say. And say, let's even, because we have a lot of people that come to the gym here that they do have to sit for work. And like, those are the ones that I kind of hammer this home with, is like, you've got to do something more than just that hour that I see you here. Because most people, let's be real. I mean, we get some of our hardcore that come 5 or 6 days a week, and they're super consistent, and that's awesome. And even if you do, right? Say you did come 6 days a week, right? How many hours are in a week? 164, right?
Yeah, my math ain't too great.
Right? 164. Okay.
Hold on. I'm still calculating.
Yeah, I think it.
I'm
Yeah,
waiting
it's
for my brain to kick
164. So, is that right? 168. Excuse me, 168. So you get 168 hours in the week. If you work out for 6 of those hours, you still get 162 hours left in that week. And I've used this example before, and I used to use it a lot when I did one-on-one sessions with people. And I probably said it on this podcast somewhere along the lines. I'm good at my job, but I'm not that fucking good. You've got to help me when you're not here, and you got to move your body. Right? You do. You've got to move your body. You think about this. If I see you for 6 hours, but you're at a desk sitting in a chair for 40 to 60 hours a week, I can't fight that. I can't win that battle. Right? Like, you've got to get up and move. Yeah. And
you're not a 24-hour coach.
Right.
You're here.
Right. And that's hard. That's hard to, as a coach, it's hard to accept that, right? And it's hard to look at that and go, fuck, I'm trying my nuts off to help this person every time I see him, and I'm trying to drop stuff, and I'm trying to give them knowledge. I'm trying to tell them things, but it's not sticking. Not that they're not listening to me in the moment when they're here and applying what I'm telling them on a squat or whatever. But, they get out of here and they've got a million other things going on. But it's like, fuck, man, give me that little bit.
Eventually it kicks in.
Yeah.
Because I've had people that I've talked to at work, like, hey, go do some stuff outside of here. I guarantee you'll feel that much better. And then they come back, they're like, you were right. Like, well, I'm like, I mean, I know, like, because that's how I felt. There were times when, I didn't feel like going to the gym, so I didn't go. And then after a while, I'm like, I don't have the option. I need to go.
Yeah.
Because if I don't go, I'll keep feeling like shit.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's across the board. It's the same thing with people here. It's the same people that are doing, like our cast iron. It's the same people that I do, or same with people that I do nutrition coaching with, right? And it's all the same. And I keep coming back to the walks thing, just because I always think that's the easiest way to add additional movement to your day without really doing anything hard. It's mindless. Say you don't want to walk with your family because you don't like them or whatever. Put your headphones in. Like, I don't care. Like, I know for me, like I said, I walk with my kid, but there are times too where, he's doing something, he's not there. And that's when I get a longer walk in. And sometimes I just want nothing, no headphones, no nothing. I can just space out and go. Or I could put my headphones in, listen to a podcast, review one of the podcasts that we've done, whatever it is, put my headphones in and call my mom, like whatever. It just allows you time to just be and move. And it's not about the calories. You are burning some extra calories, but you're doing so many other things for your body too. So
killing 2 birds with 1 stone there.
More than that. Yeah. You know what I mean? More than that.
Stress relief.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Stress relief.
Always makes me feel better.
You want to help with soreness? Walk. right? You want to help with digestion? Walk. You want to help with insulin sensitivity? Walk. Nutrient partitioning? Walk. There are so many things that go on that help. Like you said, stress relief. Neurologically, to be outside moving your body is one of the best things for you. Like, get out there and just move a little bit, right? This is easy. That's that low-hanging fruit that people talk about. It's right there. All right, so we're talking about walking. How the hell do we get here?
Drive.
I think Reese started talking about the employees he works with, right?
Yeah.
And just the simple recommendation of a 10-minute walk and doing things outside of the workplace.
Yeah, it's just people don't realize how easy it can be.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. All right, so Reese, you're getting into coaching in the gym here. You're going to take on a little bit of a role with that. You're going to start kind of getting your feet wet coaching the general public, right? What do you want to do in life, man? Like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to take your coaching, your all the schooling, what you're trying to do? What does Reese want to do when he grows up?
I mean, I know we've talked about it a couple of times. I like this environment because I get the opportunity to build rapport with people and figure out what people want goal-wise, because that's one thing I did notice too, being in college athletics, strength coach, the coaches, they have a lot of different things to deal with, and maybe that personal one-on-one connection won't be there all the time. And that's something I feel like people are getting here with this setting, because it's not like you got 200 people running around training. What was our class today? 12?
12.
That's manageable. Even 15 I feel like would be manageable to an extent, but that's the nice part, because I feel like you're going to get the most out of those one-on-one group, like small group setting coaching experiences. That's when they're going to feel cared for. They're going to feel like they're getting the attention they need, and they're going to get the correction they need.
Right.
And if they have a question, they're not going to feel like they're burdening you by asking because you got a million other things to do. You're looking after 12 people. They can come up, hey, can you watch this, this, and this? You're like, oh, yeah, no problem. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like. I want to be able to change people's lives. I want to be able to help them out however I can. And, I've always enjoyed being in the gym. Mm-hmm. Ever since I got into college football. That was one thing I liked doing, was coming in and lifting and just being around this stuff. So, yeah, I see myself continuing on this path. And then I know we've talked about the soft tissue mobility work. I'd like to start that too, because that's something I learned to do as an athletic trainer, being able to manipulate, help people out. Because for those people that maybe didn't start, exercising till later in life, they probably have a lot of scar tissue,
a lot of boo-boos.
There's just a lot of stuff going on that can be mitigated or worked on by a simple, maybe I just need to dig my thumbs in there for a little bit, or a scrape, or a cupping session, or maybe just, hey, we need to go through a stretching routine.
Yeah.
Like, I'll probably end up doing a lot of PNF stuff with people, because that usually helps with flexibility, but also just to get people moving, to get the muscles to start opening up, relax a little bit. So that's one thing I noticed. People that don't exercise are just tense all the time.
They're tight.
I'm like, my body's in pain because you're freaking like a ball of rubber bands.
Right. Well, and what's funny too is it's that people always have that misconception of, oh, you work out, right? You lift weights. Even like I've seen like powerlifters, bodybuilders, and everybody always has that mindset of like those guys are going to be like, oh my God, super tight, non-flexible. Those dudes usually move better than most people, definitely than the general public.
Yeah.
Just because, their muscles are moving constantly. They're able to get in positions that most people don't. They're hitting ranges of motion that most people don't. I mean, it's a perfect example of that is you take an average person who maybe even trains, I don't even want to say trains, but lifts weights or goes to the gym or whatever. For most of those people, unless they're working with a coach, somebody who's correcting them, if I ask, I'm going to go out on a limb and say 75% of males that work out or don't work out away from a coach to do an overhead press or take their hands and just stand and press overhead, they're going to do this. Right? If you can't see me, my hands are kind of out in front. They're at an angle. They can't hit a full range of motion going overhead because their shoulders are so fucking tight and so stiff, and their lats are so tight, and their triceps are so tight because everything's sitting forward here. And then when they do overhead stuff, it's just like, it's either a machine that's on a guided track and they're not set up in the correct position on that machine. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with machines, just make sure you're using them properly. Or they've just been in a gym and they're like, oh, okay, I need to do some overhead press or military press, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And they do this lean back, like half incline press, and over time that shoulder mobility gets really bad and really shitty. And then all of a sudden, like, man, my shoulders hurt and they're tight. And it's, well, your range of motion fucking sucks. Right? So, anyways, what I'm getting at is move your goddamn body, Reese. Move your body.
Exactly.
Mikey, you have any other questions for Reese here before we cut him loose?
I guess for either of you guys. So I saw a meme. Diamond Dallas Page trains a lot of people.
Hell yeah.
And
little DDP yoga.
I think he's really cool.
Yeah.
So he put a little graphic up the other day, and it was like an X-ray of a knee. But he said a pound of carried fat, or just a pound of weight that you carry is like 4 pounds on the knees.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can't. I'm not the guy who stands up here and is going to quote studies, but I've heard that, seen that, looked at that from multiple sources, and I've heard a range of anywhere from like you take a pound and double it to like 2.
Yeah.
And I've heard all the way up to like 5. So throwing 4 out there, probably in the range.
I put some perspective on running and feeling fluctuations of.
Oh,
of
dude, for sure. I mean, like, for me personally, like, I kind of hover at the same, within 5 pounds up or down. But when I am down those 5, dude, I feel like I just got a spring in my step.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's kind of where I am too. Well, just the 5 pound range. And I could feel a big difference.
Well, that married 10 pounds that you put on.
It's that marriage weight, man.
Yeah.
You'll feel it one day. You'll feel it one day.
Yeah, you'll know someday, Reese. Okay. Old married fat dude. No, for sure, right? And it's that for sure makes a humongous difference, bro. Like, I know for me, like, honestly, I can notice like a 2 pound fluctuation. If I'm lighter by about 2 pounds, I feel way better on my runs. Mm-hmm. Right. And I know, like, for you, you're a prime example of that right now, coming back in because you're down 50 and you probably notice it every couple pounds. You're like, woo, I feel quick.
Yeah.
I feel light. Right.
That's like you look at your knee and where it is, think of the majority of your weight. It's above that joint. That's why the study's accurate. It's just you're heaviest above your knee joint.
Yeah.
So yeah, shit's gonna feel heavy.
Yeah.
It's just the crazy part.
Yeah. What else?
I don't know. That was just the.
You looked at me with that crazy look right now, like you had a bunch of shit to fire off. What's up, man?
This is my face.
Hey, try and change that, bro. I'm gonna need you to
I'm
work
working
on
on
that.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to work on that. Yeah, man. I don't know. I ain't got much else for you, Reese. I mean, thanks for coming on, dude. Appreciate it. We'll have to have Reese back on.
Yeah.
Especially as you're in here more, getting your feet wet as a coach, and you're starting to experience more things and see more things. It'll be kind of fun to check in with you a little bit.
Be very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks for taking the time today. For those of you guys that are still listening to this at the end of the podcast, don't forget to give us a review on either Apple, Spotify. Not Spotify. Is it Spotify?
Yeah, I think we're everywhere.
Yeah, I can't remember, bro. Like, that's where you're supposed to come in and start talking.
Spotify, Google.
There we go.
SoundCloud. Always check YouTube if you want to watch us. Apple.
Yeah, if you want to
Podcast.
see pretty faces, go to the YouTubes, subscribe and like and follow all that stuff. You got a Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's got a Twitter. I don't know about the tweets, but Mike's got the tweets handling.
Haven't been on Twitter.
Yeah, what else? Check out the book. If you guys have never checked out my book, Whatever It Takes.
Amazon.
It is on Amazon. I know that much, Mike.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good to know where your book's being sold.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I'm the one who had to fucking publish it on there, so I better know, right?
You're interested in trying cast irons? 2 weeks for $2.
Yeah.
And shout out to Timmy, man. He's been really active.
Yeah.
You know, he's keeping it rolling.
Hey,
And I think Dan has been checking in too, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's good to see, man. It's good to see. It's good to see people motivated, pushing. I love, for our cast iron members, when you guys are posting about your stuff, what you're doing, even if it's just that daily, check mark of that you finished the workout. It's cool to see, man.
Yeah.
It's cool to see. So keep it up. That's all I got, guys. So hopefully you guys are all doing well. If you got questions for us, as always, if you got questions for me, Reese, maybe
Or me,
Mike.
maybe.
I mean,
am I wearing socks? Yes.
what is wrong with you? Hit us up. You can always email us also, castironworkouts@gmail. DMs. Just don't make the DMs weird.
Make them weird. Come on.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything.
Hit us up. Anyways, guys, have a good day. We're gonna shut it down right there. Mike's making it really weird. Thanks, guys.